Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue our investment series and we're looking at Sword and Shield Hidden Fates. Also just realised this box has got a couple of tiny little rips in it, so there you go, that's no good. Anyway, back on track. We're going to be looking at Sword and Shield Shining Fates. Is it a good investment in 2023? Should we buy it up? Can we make money out of it? We're going to be scoring off 3 criteria. Each is going to be scored out of 5, giving us a total out of 15. The higher the score, the more investable the product and the better chance we have of making money out of it. So, first criteria is going to be print run, which, correlates pretty closely to supply and demand. So, how heavily has this set been printed? Does the demand eat up the supply relatively quickly or easily? Second criteria, what are the hits like? Does it have some small hits sort of above that $5, $10 mark? Does it have some big chase cards? So those ones that just once graded are worth a heap of money. And the third one is fun factor. Is it going to be fun in the future to open? Is it a nice product to look at? So again, that's going to be scored out of 15. Higher the score, more investable. Let's jump into it. Can we make money out of Shining Fates? So, first criteria we're going to look at is print run, which obviously correlates pretty closely to supply and demand. And I think one of the best ways of looking at print run, other than the blaringly obvious, like how long has it been around, is jumping into PSA. So we're going to jump onto the PSA graded report here. This is not a set that was printed lightly. It's obviously got its big brother's footprints or shoes to fill, I should say, in Hidden Fates with the Shiny Vault. 61,000 PSA 10s. 61,000 graded cards and 41,000 PSA 10s. That's rough math, 66% chance of grading a 10. That's up there. So if we sort of scroll through, you'll see, there's been some grading. Obviously, the amazing rares have all been Vettel, and I think Kyogre's an amazing rare from the set. They've all been graded fairly heavily. And then down into the Shining Vault, there's a few VMAXs that have been graded pretty heavily as well. But obviously the big grade is that Charizard. That's just, boy, has that been pulled and boy, has that been graded. I think there's something like 12,000 PSA, 12,600 PSA 10s of that card. What a set that's been printed. This thing has been printed and printed and printed. So, as for a score, I think, print run, this set's been heavily printed. Supply demand, initially the demand for this set was huge. I remember when it came out, everyone was thinking it was going to be another Hidden Fates and it was going to be awesome. And, the demand definitely ate up the printing or the supply, and then it just kept getting printed and printed. And now, the price has stagnated. And it's stagnated because with the print run and the supply demand, there's too much supply out there and the demand for it has dropped off. So in terms of a supply demand or print run score, I'm going to have to give this set a 1.5 out of 5. Criteria 2, the hits. I think probably the best way to look at the hits is, of course, just jump onto a good old TCG player, see what sort of cards in the main set are sitting above that $10 mark. We'll also have a look at what the ETB price is sitting at. So if we jump on in, what's the ETB sitting at now? About $45. And over the last year, you'll be able to see that ETB has remained pretty stagnant. Not much has happened there. And I think that relates pretty strongly back to what I was saying in criteria 1, the supply demand or the print run. It just kept getting printed and printed, and as a result, the supply's just still there. The demand's dropped off, and it's just stagnated. And that's what you'll see when, the demand doesn't outweigh the supply. You get this stagnation in price, which is what's really happened with Shining Fates. Scrolling through, in the main set, there's not really a great deal there. The Skylar, that's a nice trainer. Skylar there. There's a couple of other Vs and Vmaxs, but really there's not much going on in hits in the main set. So we might jump in and have a squiz in a second at the subset to see what's going on the Shiny Vault. But the main set, not much. Right, the shiny vault. This is where the magic should happen. So we'll just wait for it to load up. As you'll see, obviously the main big hit is that Charizard. Now that is a nice looking card. I think, what is it, just under $100 raw or something now? But for something that's been pulled and graded to oblivion, it's actually holding somewhat strong. Rest of the cards in the shiny vault, there's a few there, couple of Gen 1s, couple of Gen 3s. Obviously, of course, a lot of Gen 7s there, but there's nothing much above that $10, basically nothing. When it comes to a score for criteria number 2 out of 5, looking at the hits, obviously that Charizard steals the cake, but other than that, there's not a heap there. I mean, the shiny vault's sort of nice. Like, it's cool to pull a shiny card, but I'm not going to, I just can't score it all that high. I sort of want to, because of the shiny vault, give it 2.5, but I also sort of want to give it 2, but I'm going to have to go with 2.5. 2.5 is the score. Criteria 3, the fun factor. Let's give this a score out of 5. So how fun is it to open? And also, how fun is the product to look at and keep sealed and have on display? So I think I've opened it a little bit. Haven't had heaps of luck with it. Like, pulling a few shiny vault cards is cool. Like, that's a bit of fun. I don't mind the ETB. Certainly wouldn't say it's the best looking ETB. It's almost a bit bland. Like, there's not a heap of colour to it. The promo being a holiday set, as you're aware, you get a few extra booster packs, and then you get the promo being a holiday set. But I don't know. What, that Eevee? It's not even that nice a looking promo. Box is average. Oh, I'm probably going to have to score this 2 out of 5 in terms of fun factor. It's no hidden fates to open. The promo's not as good. The box doesn't look as good. There aren't all those Gen 1 Pokemon in the shiny vault to open. It's not as fun. You don't get that cool factor. For me, it's a 2 out of 5 when it comes to the fun factor.
That brings us to a total of 6 out of 15. And then begs the question, which obviously this channel's about and this series is about on Sword and Shield, is should we invest in it? Can we make money off parking our money in Shining Fates? Short answer, I don't think anytime soon. That ETB is still hanging around. It's been hovering around for the last year, 18 months for a very similar price. The big hit, which is the Charizard, we've sort of seen it before. It's been in Darkness Ablaze. It's been in Champion's Path. I mean, arguably, this is the nicest example of it in Shining Fates, but the biggest hit, we've seen it before. There's not enough other big hits or even sort of $10 cards in this set. It's also not the best display, and I think it deserves the score of 6 out of 15. It really is, for me, like a C tier set for Sword and Shield, maybe a C+. It's not the worst, but it's certainly nowhere near the top or even the middle. So for my money, my suggestion would be to not park in Shining Fates at the moment. Not yet. I think maybe leave it another 9 to 12 months. A little bit more supply will be eaten up, and then it might start slowly moving north, but it's just not going to move to the same place as its bigger brother, Hidden Fates. What are they now? Sort of 250 to 300 Australian? And this is still 60 Australian. So my advice here is wait another 9 to 12 months before putting any money in it, and just keep a few for display at the moment.